Hey everyone, I'm Kalila Reynolds and welcome to another edition of Taking Stock Live. Where my Argentina fans at? Low blow. I know everybody's tuning into the World Cup, but you big up yourselves, all the Argentina fans. You know, taking it on the chins, early warm yet, right? Things are gonna look around. Things are gonna turn around, aren't they? So we are bringing you all the latest business news, and of course, telling you how it will affect you and your money. Who's excited for Christmas? Do you like our lovely Christmas set? See, I'm trying to get you in the mood because we have some big things coming up here at KRM. First up, look out for my Black Friday sale this week. We'll have 50% off the masterclass, never before done. We'll also have 50% off our t-shirts, and we're dropping a brand new t-shirt line, the black and gold. That wasn't available for sale yet. It's going to be available for sale come Friday. And then on Monday, I'm launching the brand new Money Mission Masterclass. So look out for that. And the big event on December 15, mark your calendars for Patria-Kaye's giveaways. I'm giving away a bunch of stuff from Jamaican businesses, plus my masterclass, plus cash money, plus, get this, I've even got VIP Burna Boy tickets to give away. So like I said, mark your calendars. December 15 is the big date right here on YouTube. And if you want to participate in this event, if you have something that you want to promote, then email business@KalilaRayMedia.com to find out how. What did I do? I wanted to show it to you. Yeah, email. There we go. Business@KalilaRayMedia.com to find out how you can participate, how you can be a part of that big event on December 15th, Patria-Kaye's giveaways. Big things going on. Also, remember to head over to my website at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter once this video has ended so that you can get my newsletter straight to your inbox twice a week. Hit up the like button, guys. If you haven't done it yet, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments, in the chat, where are you joining us from? What part of the country, what part of the world? I like to see who is with us today. Now, here's a look at what's coming up in tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. And come on, let's get this money.
Is all publicity really good publicity? One popular Jamaican media house recently suffered the consequences. Several corporate advertisers pulled their support after a video went viral seemingly endorsing violent behavior. What are the lessons for corporate Jamaica? Marketing and PR specialist Patria-Kaye Charles will join us. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Jamaica Producers' 9-month results are out. How did they perform? More financial companies are skipping dividends amid capital base erosion. And the Bank of Jamaica is increasing policy interest rates again. We'll discuss. But first, here's what's hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. Two of Jamaica's largest companies, Jamaica Producers and PanJam Investments, are joining forces. The merger will see PanJam acquiring JP's operating assets in exchange for JP taking a 34.5% interest in PanJam. After the transaction is completed, PanJam, which will be the overall parent company, will be renamed Pan-Jamaica Group. JP will emerge as the largest shareholder of the group. Both the renamed Pan-Jamaica Group and JP will remain listed on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Pan-Jamaica Group will be led by JP's CEO, Jeffrey Hall, who will hold the position of CEO and Executive Vice Chairman. PanJam CEO, Joanna Banks, will become president of Pan-Jamaica Group. The transaction, which still has to be approved by shareholders and regulators, is expected to be completed within the first quarter of 2023. The Bank of Jamaica said its latest policy increase will be its last, for now. The BOJ increased policy interest rates by another 50 basis points to 7% last week. This is the central bank's 9th interest hike since October 2021. It's the highest the central bank's policy rate has been in 11 years. The BOJ said while some of the key drivers of inflation continue to trend downward globally, the full effect is not being seen locally. Additionally, the central bank noted that the U.S. Federal Reserve increased its interest rates again, which could affect the value of the Jamaican dollar. The BOJ said that it will pause the increase in policy rates going forward, as it expects that it will begin to see the impact of its moves on the local market. Several major corporations temporarily pulled their ads from a local radio station following a controversial interview last week. Digicel was one of the first to announce its decision to pull ads from Zip FM for 30 days. The station was hit with fierce criticism after interviewing a man seen on video intimidating passengers in a taxi with a piece of board during a strike by taxi and bus operators. The man was later charged with assault at common law, disorderly conduct, and using indecent language. Images also circulated online of one of the station's hosts presenting the man with a gift-wrapped bat during an in-studio interview. The backlash prompted several companies to agencies for AA reported more than $100 million in revenue for the 9 months ending September 2022. The company's revenue soared 237% for the period. According to iCreate, the bump was thanks to a mix of new business clients as well as existing opportunities from its pipeline. iCreate acquired outdoor advertising company Visual Vibe earlier this year. The company indicated that it will be doing a rights issue to help complete the acquisition. There have been no updates on the date for the rights issue. Global sports betting is expected to top $100 billion over the next month as the FIFA World Cup gets underway. The international tournament kicked off on Sunday with host country Qatar's match against Ecuador. However, some analysts believe that the betting numbers will be tempered by the tournament's later than usual start. The month-long competition, which is usually played during the summer, was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Analysts say the games now have to compete against the American football and basketball seasons. Despite that, Americans are still expected to spend $1.8 billion betting on the World Cup this year. What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, insurance made easy.
This whole while I've been muted. This whole while. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's go again. So, bigging up everybody. Welcome back. Remember to hit the like button. I need some kind of monitor that I can hear when I'm muted. But yeah, so Kish says he thought the show was canceled when he saw the headline. Michael is joining us from Portmore. Antoinette is in, where is she? Okay, she just said good night, ready to learn. Anthony in Portmore, Raquel in Kingston, LeVar in Mandeville as usual. Demar reminding you to like the video. Please do so right now. Orville in Spanish Town. We have Emmanuel in St. James. Jamoy in St. Catherine. QB Quillholic all the way in Grand Cayman. Who else we have? Taron in Kingston 16. Lukey in North Dakota. Nick Starr all the way in Canada, and Alicia in Sandy Bay, Hanover. Big up yourself, everybody who is tuning in. I always love those of you who are on early, ready, and waiting to get this money. So the big question of the day is, or of the week, is all publicity really good publicity? We've heard this before, that there's no such thing as bad publicity. But as you may have seen with Kanye West, got canceled by lots of his advertisers and supporters pulling out, even the bank saying he can't bank with them anymore. He's no longer a billionaire. And then locally, we see in Jamaica last week, you had Zip FM suffering the consequences. Several corporate advertisers pulling their support after this video went viral. A video went viral, seemingly endorsing violent behavior, and the video was filmed in their studio, that interview with the taxi man or loader man or whoever he is. So my question today is, what are the lessons for corporate Jamaica I have two ladies who should know, or at least can give us some perspective. Joining me now to discuss, we have marketing and PR specialist Patria-Kaye Charles and chief storyteller at DRT Communications, Danielle Terrelonge. Welcome, Pat. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, how
Hello,
are you?
ladies. How you doing?
I am so happy to have you on the show, both of you, because I respect and admire both of you so much, and you've both been great sources of friendship and inspiration for me over the past few years. So
As
welcome
of
to
you.
Taking
As
Stock.
of you.
The feeling is absolutely mutual, and we're celebrating your 3 years. This is fantastic.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. So for those of you who don't know, Patria and I used to host a show on Nationwide This Morning, a few years ago, right, Pat?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the
And even
squad is
before
back.
that, we
It
used to
doesn't-
host another show. Me on the weather, you on the news desk.
Yes, you're right. At CVM. Yeah, that was a while back. That's 10 plus
Yep.
years ago when you used to be the
Yep.
weather girl at CVM. And you told me
And
how you
what
went to
you
weather
both
school.
don't know is that your jobs at work was my dream. I just never got to do what you guys got to do.
Ah,
There's still time, Daniel. There's still time.
and you do an amazing job there at DRT in PR and marketing. So let's get into the issue of the week. And this is about publicity. Both of you ladies are experts on this. Let me just start with the general question. Is all publicity good publicity, as we have heard over the years, given these two recent experiences that I just cited? Patria, you first.
Not a problem. So, in the space where I am as a marketer, as a PR practitioner, you craft the story that you want people to tell about you. You craft the way that you want people to see you. And so that side of the publicity, you get to tell the narrative the way you want it. One of the things that very many people and companies forget, and especially in this age where social media dictates so much of our thinking, is that you don't always get to tell the story. You don't always get to initiate the narrative that begins to be spoken about you. So it can start out as a negative story, but it can end up as great PR. And the difference is handle it, because people will look at people and companies in two regards. When there's an instance, when there's a crisis, they're going to look at the actual crisis, the act of the crisis, what caused it. But then very quickly behind that, they're going to look at you. How did you react to that particular action? How did you react? And that how did you react oftentimes is going to become that secondary story that generates a second wave of publicity where people are going to call you. There are lots of people who are in bad situations, find themselves in bad situations, make mistakes. And the way that they artfully handle that situation, it elevates the company, it elevates the brand, it elevates the respect that people have for both the person who faced the music and for the company itself. So you can, if handled properly, turn all PR, I think, into good PR.
Interesting perspective. Danielle, do you agree?
I actually do agree with Patria. I appreciate where she spoke about owning it. And that is the first thing that I speak to clients about. Actually, the first thing I speak to clients about is being prepared for it. There are often times when I start on a project and I ask the client, is there anything I need to know? Is there anything I need to prepare for? And that is one of the first things you want to do, because every great PR specialist is, of course, looking at all the fantastic messaging and the narrative, as Patria says, that we're going to develop. But we also must always prepare for a crisis. We must prepare for it going wrong. We must prepare for mistakes that may be made along the way. And so the first thing is being prepared. And then, of course, incidents do come up. And I believe I also subscribe to what Patria says. They're owning it and in the how you react to it. And very importantly there, I think the next step is to immediately align to the company's values, right? Who exactly are we here? And when you are honest and operate in your values as a company, even when things go wrong, that is where your audience, your consumer, your customer, your client is going to respect you because you remain almost diligent to those values. You didn't buck up and turn and the story. No, you were honest, you were open, you owned it, and you responded. One of the things that comes up for me often where PR that could have turned out to be good if we operate in values, where it goes bad is that companies or people, brands don't move quickly enough. And sometimes moving quickly is just that matter of owning it. We're handling it, and we will be right back, and continuing to keep your audience, your consumer, your customer engaged in that open and transparent way. I think timing is what will determine whether or not that negative publicity turns into positive or remains negative.
Yep.
Funny enough, I think Donald Trump is, if he didn't coin it, he's one of the people who has said this phrase a lot about all publicity being good publicity. I was reading his book, The Art of the Deal, recently, and he said it in that book, and he gave examples of how he's turned negative publicity into positive publicity for himself. And listen, it took him all the way to the White House, that philosophy, arguably the most important position in the world. But we have seen some fallout. So what happens, even though you can turn it around, what happens when you start losing corporate support, as we've seen in the case of both Zip and Kanye abroad? Like, how do you handle that when you lose out on all this revenue, especially at a time like this, Christmas time, Patria?
So it's going to be very tricky, right? I think the first thing is handling it is going to very much determine whether or not there is that fallout from a financial perspective. One of the things you made mention of Kanye, it's in one of the processes that Danielle just explained that you should do. It's acknowledging that there's a problem. In some of the instances where we see that there's a financial fallout, there is no acknowledgement that there is in fact a problem. And so you will have that ripple effect of people not wanting to associate with the brand. Having acknowledged the problem, you need to fix it. And having fixed it, you need to communicate the fix. And all three of those things are very important to keep the trust of those who spend money with you and keep the trust of those who will perpetuate the negative PR or become your advocates beyond the actual scenario. So if you look at those instances where there has been a fallout, either the apology has not been sincere or it hasn't happened at all. The other thing that I would say is the how you communicate that apology has been one of the lessons for a lot of companies, good and bad, in terms of how you perpetuate negative PR or how you save the bottom line. So the professional is important. I can't stress enough how many people have tried to address a bad issue, and not only do they not come from a sincere place, but they come as spin doctors, right? They come unprepared. Facing the media is a very difficult thing if you don't anticipate what those negative questions are going to be, and bad can become worse very quickly. And it can have very big implications. We saw it. We talk about Zip and how quickly advertisers removed themselves from that particular instance, because not only do they not want to associate their brand with what you purportedly are standing for on this very public platform, but if you think even further along, when we take a look at some of the studies on what attracts people to companies, good talent to companies, if your values and mine don't align, the brightest and the best are not just looking for what you're going to put in their pockets at the end of the month. They're also looking for brands that are going to look good on their resume, that stand for things that they stand for. So it really can hurt you if you don't handle these matters in the right way, not just in the immediate bottom line, but it's also going to hurt you with those who want to associate with the brand, whether employees or external parties.
And I love that you gave us a blueprint, Patria-Kaye. So you have acknowledge the problem, fix the problem, and communicate the fix. 3 steps that we need to do.
Critical.
So, right. So Danielle, for those of us, and let me tell you, I saw the situation play out with Zip, right? And everybody was quick to condemn them and bash them. I looked at it a little bit differently because I'm in media myself, and I was like, wow, okay, yes, it was wrong, but everybody makes mistakes. And I started thinking, if this was to happen to me, just one wrong word or wrong phrase or something said at the wrong time, and everything could be taken away from me or from my business just like that. So for those of us who are running businesses in whatever area, because Kanye is not media, for those of us who have businesses here in Jamaica, is there any type of cheat sheet, anything that we should avoid, that we know for sure that that's a no-go
Well,
for
before
corporate?
we get to avoiding, let me just, I'm gonna on Patria's cheat sheet, I'm just gonna add that be prepared. So I agree with everything that she said, but being prepared, she also said, so needs to be added to that list. Before we get to what we should avoid, I think we should focus on what we need to build. So as brand personalities and brands and companies, really what we're doing, why people buy our products, or, log in every Tuesday at 8 o'clock and listen to what you have to say, Kalila, is because you are building a brand, you are creating brand advocates, you have a lot of loyalty. And sometimes what we see when things go bad with a brand, it's actually the advocates that come in and say, hang on, no. I know their values. I know what they stand for. I don't like that this happened, but as we would say, that don't
It's also character.
It's out of character. That's not Kalila right there. Something must have happened. And then, especially in this age of social media, you see kind of your army come together on your behalf, and that's actually the work that we do before. And how do you do that? You have a consistent brand, you create a consistent brand, you create a consistent narrative. People learn to trust you because you are consistent, because what you're saying actually helps them. What you're saying, my new favorite word, nourishes them, nourishes their mind, their body, their soul, depending on, what, of course, our product is. You are creating affinity, and a term we use in marketing quite a lot, brand loyalty. And when you have those loyalists, we see it a lot in whether or not we want to talk about it, but you brought it up with Donald Trump, and we see it locally. When you see those kind of die-hard political advocates, even when something goes wrong in the party, because there is a sense of affinity, because there is loyalty, you're not going to get to turn them that easily, even when something goes wrong. And that is what we need to do as we build, whether it be our personal brands or building corporate brands. So for me, that is the first step. And of course, as you said, you may say something wrong one day. And if you text me one night and said, Danielle, I'm getting heat, I said something that apparently, I certainly didn't mean it that way, and which is probably what would happen. My immediate thing to you would be, well, let us acknowledge it. Let us acknowledge it right away. Let us tell everybody this is what has happened. Let us and show people that you are still operating within those values that you've created, your brand values, if you will. And if you see a brand fallout, so for example, you noticed, maybe sponsors. There are two things. One, you have to go to the people who are, sponsoring you, or in the case of another brand, buying from you. And you have to address that with them and let them know and assuage any anxieties that you may have. But also, as a good business person, you're going to have to accept that your next quarter or your next year is going to have to be in redeveloping that brand loyalty. You're going to have to put a lot into, because you may have some fall off. And that's something that we have to accept. And then we have to do the work to invest in recreating that. Unfortunately, it actually gets a lot harder at that point. I just want to tell you a quick story. Recently, we were working on a project, and I wasn't able to get a press release out, and members of the media started posting about this project long before I was able to get out the story of this project. And I thought I was screaming. And the reason for that is I want us, the PR company, and of course it's really the client, to tell the story before others are able to. We must always be ahead
So
of
you
the
can
story,
control the narrative.
so that we can control it. We can tell the truth. We can
Yeah.
show the areas of weaknesses. We can show the strengths. We must always lead, whether that be a personal brand or a corporate brand.
You know, there's something interesting that's come out of all of this. And as companies seek to hire a person to do this job, whether it's an agency or somebody internally, you know, you hire a PR manager, it's really important that you pick the who really, really well. One would assume that somebody who worked in broadcasting is perfect for that job. Somebody who the gift of gab is yours. You talk every day for a living. You're perfect as a PR representative. Or you may think that within your organization, somebody who works in customer service or anybody who finds themselves, you know, who speaks a lot is perfect to handle some kind of PR crisis or to anticipate what may cause your brand to have eroded equity. And it's not necessarily true. I think there's a lot of experience that's required, especially in dealing with real crisis, because things happen in a business, right? My father always says, if you're a baker, you're going to get burnt. If you're a taxi driver, you're going to crash at some point. Then, by virtue of the nature of your business, things are going to happen. In my PR life, one of the things that you do is you actually have a sheet prepared. What are the things that could go absolutely wrong in this business and were it to happen? And a media professional puts a microphone in my face, we actually act out what is the action plan in the event that happens. How do we respond? What are the tough questions that might be asked? And from a place of sincerity and integrity, how would we answer that question? I don't want to be thinking about a hurricane in the middle of a hurricane. I don't want to be thinking about a fire response in the middle of a fire. I want to have a pre-prepared deck with those kinds of possibilities already thought about. Who is going to speak? It's not the person that answers the phone who is going to be answering you, Kalila, or Cliff, or any other journalist. There's a designated person who is trained and prepared.
True.
You know, I want to piggyback on that, if you will.
But Danielle, I need to get to this question because we're
sorry.
almost out of time in the segment. So Frank Licks, not a question, a comment, says, you guys are having quite a tame, timid conversation on this topic. If you only knew how severely vicious, deeply wretched, evil, and hateful the cancel culture is here in America. And let me tell you, one of the reasons I wanted to speak about this today is because I cannot recall a time, and I've been working in media here about 15 years almost in Jamaica. I cannot recall a time when you've had this level of corporate withdrawal from a public company such as Zip. So I was wondering, I don't know if you guys have seen it. Is this new? Is it that cancel culture is now hitting Jamaica and corporate Jamaica is now paying keener attention to this type of thing? Pat? Well,
I've known of instances in the past. Well, I guess, Danielle can go first.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I too know of instances. I think right now what we're seeing is because of the social media side of things. But I've certainly worked on many a crisis where a company I'm working with has chosen to not work with a partner because of whether that be sexual harassment or charges against a partner they may have had.
Individuals. I know it's happened against individuals, but I haven't seen it happen before against companies.
I've definitely experienced it.
I've known of companies as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I can remember at one point where beverage brands took a stance against shows, dance hall shows, and lewd lyrics. And I can remember a time in Jamaica where beverage brands took a stance and pulled their sponsorships from shows, entire dance hall shows, until the show was clean, until the show was sanitized, and it hurt. It hurt the pocket of those who put on those shows for a very long time, and they actually had to clean up their act. I think one of the things that magnetizes it now is corporate entities actually, especially those that serve big clienteles, people look on and say, what are you doing next? I know that some of the big corporate bodies were actually, so bodies that represented corporate entities, there were members who reached out to say, are you going to make a statement? Because we don't stand for this. And I may not advertise on that particular station, but you represent me and I need your voice to this particular situation. So I think corporate entities they recognize the power of their pockets, and they recognize the influence that they have in agitating for change and the responsibility that they have in agitating for change. We're in a good place.
Danielle, final words?
I also believe that the consumer, and this is a powerful place, the consumer now has more voice. We, the consumer, are not even leaving it up to corporate entities to make us a stance. We're actually demanding more. We are demanding that they take a stance. We're demanding that we, the consumer, are pretty much saying, we're not gonna be loyal to you if you don't operate in those values that you claim to abide by and subscribe to. So I think because of social media, consumers are given more of the voice, and that is why we will see a lot more of it playing out in the public space. But it certainly has been around for quite a while.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for your comments this evening. Great perspectives, and hope you have a wonderful Christmas season.
Thank you. You too. You certainly put me in the mood with the trees. Loving it.
Well, I know you are Mrs. Christmas. You're Mrs. Claus.
Absolutely.
Is your tree up, Pat?
No, but I'm baking ham this weekend. Ready.
Ham in November, Patria. You know, easy.
First.
All right. Thank you once again. Producer, are we going with the old question or the new question? Because I'm seeing the old question in the script and on the thing here. Which one should I ask? Let me know. All right. Let me find the new question. Where's my phone? I know it has to do with Jamaica Producers and so the JP and PanJam merger. Hold on. I'll soon find it. Da, 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 da. Let me play some elevator music for you in the meantime. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. All right, here we go. Here's the question. How do you feel about two of Jamaica's largest conglomerates, PanJam Investments and Jamaica Producers Group, upcoming merger, which will create a group worth over $1 billion in assets? So that's the big news of the week, the big business news of the week. We actually did try to get them for the program tonight, but they're not ready to speak just yet. And also, you may have heard the sad news that Jeffrey Hall's father passed this morning. Jeffrey Hall is the CEO of Jamaica Producers Group. So we're sending condolences his way, and we wish all the best to Jeffrey's family. But yes, this is massive news in the economy and possibly implications on the stock market as well, since both of these companies are listed. And I want you to take today's poll either on Twitter or on our YouTube channel in the community tab. The question again, how do you feel about two of Jamaica's largest conglomerates, PanJam Investments and Jamaica Producers Group, upcoming merger, which will create a group worth over $1 billion in assets? A, wow, this is massive news. B, how will this benefit us as the public? C, I don't care. D, other. We'll also be talking about it in the next segment with the analysts.
This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy. Time now for your market recap. The JC Combined Index lost over 9,000 points last week. 124 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, November 18, 2022. 27 made gains, 84 lost value, and 13 stayed the same. 136 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $740 million. Wigton Wind Farm was the week's most traded stock. It took up 20% of market volume, with people buying and selling 27 million shares in the company. The stock opened this week at 57 cents. Dollar Financial was the second most traded stock, with people buying and selling 23 million shares in the company. It lost 20 cents to open Monday at $3.18. Trans-Jamaican Highway rounded out last week's most traded, taking up 7% of market volume with 10 million shares trading. The stock lost 6 cents to open this week at $1.36. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the week. ISP Finance was last week's top stock, up 23% to open the new week at $18.50. General Accident Insurance was the week's second biggest gainer, up 21% to open this week at $4.90. And rounding out our biggest gains, Cygnus Credit Investments, JMD, is up almost 21% to open the week at $17.24. On the losing side now, PBS 9.75% cumulative redeemable was last week's biggest loser, down almost 27%. The stock opened Monday at $106. Paramount Trading had the second biggest fall last week. The stock was down 20% to open the new week at $1.51. And Consolidated Bakeries fell 18%, closing the week at $2.07. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was flat last week. National Flour Mills was the most traded stock. It opened this week at $1.51 TT. The stock was also the week's biggest loser. Scotiabank TT was the market's biggest gainer, up 5% to open this week at $77.77 TT. Over in the US, the Dow Jones and S&P 500 were mostly flat last week, while the Nasdaq lost almost 1%. At the pumps, motorists got a small win last week as gas and diesel prices all fell $4.50. In foreign exchange, it took an average $154.82 Jamaican to purchase $1 last Friday. That's 25 cents more than a week before. Meanwhile, it took an average $116.24 Jamaican to purchase $1 Canadian. One British pound cost on average $183.92 Jamaican. And you could buy €1 for $161.99 Jamaican on average. Finally, on the crypto markets, after falling 17% the week before, Bitcoin managed to stay relatively flat last week, trading at $16,680 on Friday. Ethereum, on the other hand, fell a further 2% last week. The cryptocurrency was trading at $1,210 on Friday. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Jamaica National Group. We'll help you find a way. Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Let me take a couple of comments first. Arch says, is that $1 billion in monopoly money? It's in Jamaican dollars, Arch. Some people might call it monopoly money, but it's Jamaican dollars. Omar says, it's great news, the merger. Roswell says, it's a good move for both to merge. CEO, president, and chairman would have to calculate how the synergy for bought companies would contribute to growth and the public. So yeah, we're going to be looking at that. Hopefully next week, we'll get some more insight on that. Let me introduce our analyst panel for today. I'm joined by Faye Samuels, who's Senior Research Analyst at JN Group. And we also have business writer at The Observer newspaper, David Rose. Welcome, Faye. Welcome, David.
Good night, Kalila.
Good night, everyone.
And we are going to start this segment with a game of Guess the Stock. Faye, you have a giveaway, so let's get right into it.
Okay, I'm ready to share my screen.
Okay, first of all, what do our viewers win?
Okay, our viewers, for the Christmas, a $5,000 gift certificate from JN Fund Managers for you to join one of our mutual funds of your choice.
Okay, very nice. Yes, Christmas money. All right,
Yes.
Guess the stock.
So the first clue. In its early days, this company's primary business included holding tradable securities and taking selected private equity opportunities. However, its refined business strategy now reflects that of an alternative investment managed firm. I wonder if there are any answers as yet. Clue number 2. So put your answers in the chat, people. Over its lifespan, this company has been successful at identifying and acquiring stakes in regional companies with huge growth potential, growing profitably with those companies, and exiting successfully when possible. Hmm. Well, looks like we have an answer. But nonetheless, clue number 3. The company's stock price was $25.98 at the close on November 21. So we see that 1 year ago the price was $33 and yesterday it was $25.98.
Ooh.
And drum roll please. The answer is proven. I see we
Okay.
do have a winner.
All right. Let me see who was the first person to write proven, because I saw
I
a
believe
lot
it's
of guesses
Raquel.
coming in.
Raquel Francis.
Congrats, Raquel.
Oh no, it's actually Omar
You see?
Irving, and that's wait.
So David. No man. Producer is the one who tells us who the winner is. See, you go and call wrong name. Producer, put the winner on the screen. Strong Link is actually the winner.
Just
Strong
So
link.
realized.
right.
Congrats.
So Faye, can you tell Strong Link how they can claim their prize?
Definitely. Please take a screenshot of your answer and email us at jninfo, info at jnfunds.com with your
So this
name,
is
the
a little bit
screenshot.
challenging. Strong Link, please write your real name or your email address, because anybody can screenshot this and say that they're Strong Link since they don't have their real name. So Strong Link, please comment either your name or your email address so that we
Definitely.
know, so that JN knows who to look out for when you're sending the email. All right. You don't want somebody claiming your Christmas money, your $5,000 prize. Okay. Producer, please look out for that so that you can write that down for. Somebody don't say I am Strong Link. Arch say I am Strong Link. Comment it in the chat, Strong Link. Let us know how we can identify you when you do send your email. All right, so a couple of big things to look out for this week. Some big news. We have an IPO on the scene. Regency IPO opens on Thursday. And we also have this big merger as well as some other financial news. First, I want to hear your thoughts on the IPO, because a lot of people right now are considering whether this investment could be right for them. Faye, your thoughts on Regency?
Okay, well, so far in the Jamaican market, we have seen other Jamaican owned service stations coming to the market and delivering strong results and good products to consumers. We expect the same from Regency. We expect there to be significant growth in the short to medium term, especially in the LPG segment, which we have noticed has had modest growth over the last 5 years or so. However, um, we have seen rapid growth in their revenues over the past 3 years. They have only been in operation for about 3 years. So we do not have a long track record to gauge how they would perform, but we do expect great things, especially after they list on the market and get enough capital to go according to their expansion plans. And in the automotive segment, we know that if they are able to deliver product that's reliable and a very cost effective product, it will be essential to them growing because, with these high gas prices, consumers are very sensitive to the cost of gas. You can see that based on the line that we see at a service station on Beachwood Road. So there's great potential there, but we have to caution persons that the excessive growth may not go for a long time because there is very low margins on automotive fuels. However, their previous performance has been good, their cash flows have been good, their balance sheet is good. So in terms of valuation, the IPO price of $1 is, we know that will get many investors excited at that price point. And based on previous companies coming to the market in similar positions, we expect growth and we expect good things from Regency.
Okay. Are you concerned at all that this is still a fairly young company? So 3 years old is still startup phase.
Yes, that's one of the concerns because even though there may be substantial growth, we're not sure as yet if the company will be fully able to manage that growth going forward. But we'll have to see what happens when they list. And I would say give them a chance because, build Jamaica, buy Jamaica.
All right. So David, your thoughts on Regency?
You know, to be honest, I can expect them to, be successful in raising the desired capital they need to go public. But for me, this offer actually is what I'd call a litmus test to determine the market's appetite in terms of any offer at the moment. because I've already seen in recent times a lot of liquidity has been leaving the market. So, for example, Regency's prospectus were released on the JSE during trading hours, which typically doesn't happen. So it was released at 10:30. And as the day progressed, I noticed a lot of persons, or I should say, investors writing to sell their positions in different companies, likely to, get some capital to potentially go into Regency, or, in anticipation of the expectation that persons are going to sell to get capital to buy into Regency. So, it's a litmus test in honesty, because Regency is only looking for about $116 million in capital from the public, which is similarly comparable to one-on-one, which went for $120 million from the public. So this is kind of a litmus test to see, is the market still hungry for these junior market IPOs, or are we starting to see the effects of these higher interest rates impacting investor sentiment? The company is relatively young. They're going to be 4 years old next year. But the good thing is that they had a plan and they're executing it. And at the same time, because of the fact that they're going to be debt free if the offer is fully successful and have 5 years worth of no income tax, they'll have a better growth path compared to other companies which would have gone through the initial startup phase as well. So key thing, companies planning to open 2 new service stations on the western end of the island within the first quarter. One is going to be a COCO, meaning company on company operated, or there's going to be a lease station that they operate. So right now, I'm looking forward to see how they perform. And we're seeing a pretty strong board set in terms of persons with listed company experience. And this company is operating in a space that all the person to say it has no margins. If you can make it up with volumes, you're in a very good position. And Regency has said that they have been focusing heavily on giving a low cost product at a fair price. So just like how Pesco speaks always about volumes, that's the thing about Regency as well. They're critically focused on volumes, because that's how you're able to give an affordable price to the consumer, while at the same time making a very sensible profit.
Are you still seeing a lot of activity on the market with the sell-off that we've seen with other IPOs, people selling off so that they can put money or reallocate funds into the new thing in town?
So to give some very critical data, last week, Thursday, 11 securities on the JSE experienced 52-week lows. So JSE is about 148 securities right now, and 11 experienced 52-week lows. And within the last month, we've seen more than 50 plus, 60 plus securities have 52-week lows, which means they're trading at their lowest price within a year band. And I kind of believe in a sense that persons are selling some of their stakes or their securities on the market in order to participate in the Regency IPO. And because of the comments that have been expressed by the JSE managing director of a conservative estimate of potentially 4 IPOs before year end, and we have almost a month left in the calendar year, persons are potentially saying there's Christmas coming up, I really have bills. So persons are probably taking this stance, staying back and watching, because the companies have said that they're planning to come on list. We haven't seen them come as yet, but you're seeing more persons, become more disciplined with their capital. So if you look at the queues for some stocks on the JSE, such as probably some general market stocks or main market stocks, you're probably seeing 2 to 10 bids of very small volumes, versus the sell queue where you have like 30, 40, 50 orders for selling. So right now, if you're a person who's in the market, if you don't have capital on standby, you're kind of in a tough position, because as the price of these features come down, it's creating a bigger issue for persons who want to realize gains and at the same time even realize an exit. So remember, in order to sell a stock, somebody has to be willing to buy the security. If there are many buyers, then the person who do want to buy are able to exercise that power of putting in the price that they desire and the volumes that they want as well. So right now, if we're selling the IPO comes in short order, especially a very attractive one, you probably might see more selling off continuing the market. And it's just going to put more pressure on persons who, are going to say, should I sell to just preserve my capital and just hold the cash on the interim? Because the BOJ raised rates last week, Friday, to 7%. And, we're seeing companies giving 10.5, 12% fixed income instruments for 3 to 5 years. So it's a very complicated time, but you have to just be very careful.
Wow. All right. So the other big news of the week came out yesterday. PanJam and JP's merger. This is huge, Faye. Both of these companies are listed companies as well. How do you see this possibly impacting their stock performance?
Well, so far since the announcement was made, we see that volumes went up significantly on the market. However, they've already started to trend down. We don't have a lot of information, as you mentioned, from the company outside of the press release, but we do think there are great things in store for shareholders, especially shareholders of JP, since that's what I'll be focusing on tonight. And while we await more details about the merger, we do know that we see the combination offering accretive value to shareholders and a more diverse base to shareholders of both companies, which will ultimately reduce their risk and increase the value to shareholders.
David, what synergies do these two companies have? Because I know JP more as a manufacturing company. They produce the banana chips and bananas and that sort of thing, among other things. And then PanJam is more on the investment side and I think some real estate too. What are the synergies there that would cause them to want to come together?
So for some history lesson for persons who don't know, so back in 2011, when we were going through the post 2008 issues, and we had just gone through, I believe it was NDX in 2010, the government was divesting a lot of assets, that were loss makers, or the IMF said, you have to divest these assets. They're, a drag to your balance sheet and your performance and your debt. So PanJam and JP came together, putting $56 million each in a joint venture into the Mavis Bank coffee factory, which produces the Jablum brand. And they got it in October 2011, and it was making losses then. And when they acquired it, they put in the capital needed at the time. They put in the leadership and skills needed as well. And they're both able to exit in September 2016 when they sold to Michael Lee Chin, which resulted in each of them recognizing a gain of at least $650 million each. So imagine they each put in $56 million in, call it 2011, and almost 5 years later, they're exiting at, potentially what you'd call a 10x over return in terms of a gain. And, that wasn't too long ago. And that's just one example of a transaction that they both done together that has been significantly accretive to both company shareholders. And, when it comes to synergies, you need to remember, JP, for example, has the reach in Europe. They have the partnership in terms of the German DOMREP. They have a lot of connections, for example, in the UK. I'm not saying PanJam have some of these connections, but at the same time, JP would have been around longer and has, at the same time, has the benefit of, being connected from a relationship standpoint globally, versus PanJam, who is focused more so on private equity and their interests here in the Western Hemisphere, rather than the North American belt. So, right now, JP and PanJam, are going to, and the message transaction simply for persons who don't know, JP is going to give up their operating assets, which includes Kingston Wars, Frontiera, JP Tropical, everything basically, over to PanJam. That asset base right now would come up to about 111 billion Jamaican dollars, which is a little over 90 million US dollars. Sorry, 900 million US dollars. And JP in turn will get a 34.5% stake in PanJam. Both companies' shareholders are going to have to each approve at their upcoming extraordinary general meetings within the first quarter. But the synergies to come out of it is really and truly combining the brain, I shouldn't say the brain power, but more so the expertise that both companies have in their own rights. So PanJam has access to the capital, and that's a critical thing for me to remember. PanJam is flushed with cash to the point that their cash and repos can effectively reduce their liabilities anytime they want. And at the same time, JP, while it might have the reach, at the same time, doesn't necessarily have the capital reach that PanJam does. So while the consolidated books of the company is one thing for Jamaica Producers, PanJam, on the other hand, has that capital that they can flex with. Because remember, JP has sold a good portion of their stake in SAGE Logistics back in 2020. And they used that capital back in 2021 to acquire Frontiera Geest. There's a Spanish company, Swiss company they bought as well. And, that's just one reality that JP is facing. They have all these potential opportunities to do deals, but capital is a constraint from a perspective. But on the other hand, PanJam has a lot of capital, but they probably have a similar level of reach or expertise to an extent in some of those fields. So by combining these two entities, you're basically going to get a very strong group that will be able to flex its muscles in a diverse range of businesses. So in this new group, you're going to have a majority stake in Kingston Wharves and also in Surgical Group. They're going to be involved in the real estate, like Manor Park or Scotia Center in downtown, have a reach in Europe, logistics. So it's a lot of things that are going to come out from this transaction. Based on my current math,
Ryan is pointing out that PanJam is also in manufacturing with Walker's Wood, and Elaine has a question. Elaine wants to know who will benefit more from this relationship, PanJam or JP?
So from a market perspective, persons are more likely to gravitate towards PanJam after everything is said and done, because key thing to remember, so JP is a person has its income and everything right now will likely is going to be reported over onto PanJam's books. Although the current stake of 34.5% would basically make PanJam an associate of Jamaica Producers, we don't know as yet how their auditors are going to treat it as yet, because Jeffrey Hall, who is the managing director of JP, is going to be appointed the executive chair, the vice chairman and CEO of the group. And they also have an executive from JP coming onto the board as well. So if there be a case for JP actually consolidating PanJam and putting their financials out onto their books as well. But I think more
so definitely a lot of questions about this. I look forward to when we can have JP and PanJam on the program to tell us how this is going to work. So speaking of JP, Faye, you are talking about Jamaica Producers 9-month results. Tell us how they did.
Okay, yes. I'm ready to share my screen. Okay, so as some persons may not know, JP is involved in a lot more than just food and manufacturing or agriculture. They're a holding company. They operate in many countries, as David mentioned, across the Caribbean, the Americas, and Europe. And they are involved in port terminal operations through Kingston Wharves, shipping and logistics, as well as the cultivation, marketing, and distribution of fresh produce, food and drink, as well as land management. Previously, in the summer, JP also announced that they were interested in going into the tourism sector with their lands in St. Mary, beachfront properties. And I think that will also be a synergy. PanJam can provide some expertise in that area as they're already in the hotel and real estate sector. Okay, looking at the income statement extract for the past few years, the results over the period reflect recovery from the challenges associated with COVID and highlights the company emerging with a more diverse and resilient multinational business. This has been driven by JP's pursuit of product and geographic diversification, which has enabled the group to recover from the economic shock of COVID. So when we look at the numbers, we see that in 2019, they had strong revenues and solid profits. However, in 2020, if we take out the impact that the sale of their subsidiary, SAJE Logistics, had, then we see that they had a big drop in revenue and also a hit to their profits. However, in 2022, for the 9-month results that was announced recently, we see that there was a big, in 2021, there was a big turnaround which continued into 2022. We see that 9 months results were much improved over the previous period. Revenues were up over 20%, driven mostly by revenues from the food and drink division, which contributed approximately 60% of revenues. However, we see that their gross margins were down a little bit, 29% in 2021 versus about 28% in 2022. And what we have seen is that in the manufacturing and distribution segment, a lot of companies have not been passing on the price increases because, as you know, inflation is very high right now. But some companies have been holding back or were holding back. So that has impacted some companies' revenue, and this may have been the case with JP. On the other hand, their efficiency ratio was slightly up over the period for the 9 months this year versus last year. And we see that JP was able to keep costs in line even with their growth in revenues. So, in line with JP's strategy to further diversify their company and their products, we can see that they made a number of acquisitions over the period 21 to 2022. We see that in 22, this year, they purchased a Miami freight and shipping company, which is based in Florida and is focused on shipping between the Caribbean and North America. And this was reflected in their income statements in the share of profits from associates and joint ventures, which saw massive improvements and contributed over 20% of profits in 2022, or 572 million approximately.
Can you point your cursor to where you are? Because there's a lot of numbers on the screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
share
just
of
so we,
profits in
just so we can
associates and
follow.
joint
Okay, good.
ventures.
There we go.
So most of this was coming from their joint ventures and associates. Previously, in 2021, this also increased substantially. In 2021, they made 3 acquisitions of 3 companies: Geese Line, Co-Beverage, and Grupo Frontera, which has another company in the Dominican Republic. Notably, JP also holds substantial positions in Kingston Wharves, as mentioned before, Tortuga Cayman Limited, and Four Rivers Mining Company, which has been closed and is being wrapped up. As I mentioned before, the disposal of SAG in 2020 was a saving grace. Here we see in 2020, the sale contributed approximately 1.8 billion to their revenues. Similar to their gross profit margin, the net profit margin also was down slightly. But overall for the period, net profits were up approximately 18%. And we see where the logistics and infrastructure segment continues to generate most of the most of the net profits, contributing approximately 81% of profits before finance costs and taxes, even though the food and drink segment is what contributes more of the revenue. Moving on to the balance sheet, we see similar to what happened in the income statement, where performance improved significantly in 2021. Their non-current assets, saw a slight increase, up approximately 5% in 2022. That's down here, non-current assets in 2022, driven by their increase in biological assets, that's the plants for the JP farms. Their interest in associates also contributed significantly, up approximately 276% with the acquisition of Miami Freight Services. Current assets were also up approximately 7%, driven by increases in their cash and equivalents and slight increases in receivables, as well as short-term investments or fixed deposits. We see that over the period, JP has been growing their inventories. And in 2021 to 2022, it was up approximately 25%. Liabilities are down approximately 5%, impacted mainly by reduced loans and lease liabilities, which is good. And overall, shareholders' equity is up approximately 9%. Of course, about 50% of these profits are attributable to the parent company and 50% to non-controlled interests in the company. If we look at the stock price and valuation for JP from about 2018, we see that if persons had invested in JP in that year for approximately $15, they would have gained handsomely today. Even though we see movements in the chart moving up and down, the general trajectory has been up, and the current price as of yesterday was $22.21. The valuation now, the historical PE, this red line, is over 20 times for JP. And now, based on the current price, it's approximately 11 times, which suggests that the stock may be undervalued and now may be the perfect time to buy the stock. Previously, JP indicated its strategy of innovation, acquisitions, diversification, and we are now seeing it being realized. And if these recent acquisitions are anything to go by, we think that the future holds good things in stock for JP, and we can expect significant growth going forward. Additionally, most of these acquisitions have been in the past 1 or 2 years, so we know that we have not seen the full potential or impact of their growth on JP. In summary, we believe the company offers great value and an interesting future, especially given all the current developments. The merger announcement with PanJam holds good things in stock for JP shareholders.
Okay, thank you so much for that summary, Faye. And we'll definitely keep our eyes on this stock given what was just announced yesterday. So we're gonna leave it right there. I know, David, that you had wanted to talk about, the no dividend policy for
No,
some
that's
companies right
another
now.
time.
But
That's another time.
and we did speak about it last week as well. But thank you so much for your contributions. Let me just take a couple
One,
comments from the viewers before we
one,
go. So
one last thing, Kalila.
while I find the comments, go ahead, David.
Actually, JMB Securities actually did two reports recently, one on PanJam, one on JP, and they actually gave JP an upgrade in terms of to be overweight, with a price range from $21.66 to $30.67, and they downgraded PanJam to market weight with a price range from $7.90 to $78.36. And even Barita on their recent weekly report highlighted that the company, was trading below the market on both a PE and PB basis for both companies, and even VMware lists both of them as overweight in their own weekly reports. So, the brokerage community actually sees that there is value in both companies before this announcement.
All right. So thank you, David. Let me look at
You're
these
welcome.
last few comments. So one coming from Ryan, who says, PanJam, tourism with the Marriott chains, JP lands on the North Coast, synergy strike, smart move, plus the government push to 4,000 hotel rooms. PanJam has the money. Roswell says, all stocks are trading at very low discount. You will have to know the company's business line and how high and low that they trade on a daily, and then learn, grow, invest, commenting lots of undervalued companies that will do well in the short and midterm. So that's it for the analyst segment. Stay tuned. I'm going to take final comments and a few announcements.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by Jamaica National Group. We'll help you find a way.
Hey, moneymakers, you're not an official part of the family until you have your merch. Visit KalilaReynolds.com/store to order your t-shirt and your mask today. Let's get this money. All right, a few final comments here. Philip says, JP and PanJam amalgamation is literally the biggest thing to happen on the JSE since DNG buyout, in my honest opinion. And then Stronglink, you still haven't given us your information so that we can contact you to win your $5,000 prize. But Stronglink says most stocks are now so undervalued, resulting in further negative impact on the revaluation reserves of others. The question is, how close are we to the floor in many company prices? And then final comment goes to TJ, who says, good show this week. Nice information. Thank you, TJ. And Roswell also saying, that was from Roswell, sorry. And TJ saying, good job to you both. So David and Faye, you're getting a big up. So for those of you who tuned in late and missed our early announcements, we're all dressed up for the holiday season because I'm trying to get you in the mood for Christmas. We have a few things coming up over the next few weeks. Of course, Black Friday is coming up, so our big Black Friday sale will take place, you guessed it, on Friday. We're going to have 50% off on the Investing for Beginners Masterclass. Never before done. I always do like 20%, but Black Friday, you got to blow it out. So 50% off on Black Friday. And of course, when you purchase the class on Friday, you will get access to the new modules that are launching on Monday. Wednesday, next week, Wednesday. On Wednesday, I'll be launching my brand new Money Mission Masterclass, which includes some new modules on budgeting. We're talking about getting out of debt, how credit cards work. And Keisha Bailey, our very own Profit Jumpstarter, has a special module in this new masterclass called How to Find Great Stocks. So the best deal you will get on all of this is coming up on Black Friday, when the cost will be 50% off the original price, which is now $9,000. So you're going to get it for just $4,500. And next week, when Money Mission Masterclass launches, it is going to be significantly more than $9,000. So this is the best deal you are going to get. Make sure that you tune in to all my social medias. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter so that you can get the code when the Black Friday sale drop. This is the best time. And if you want to buy it for somebody that you know who needs financial education in their life, who needs to learn all this stuff, how to handle money, Black Friday is the day. Black Friday is the day. Go to KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter right now to make sure that you're subscribed to that newsletter and you don't miss the sale. You want to know what that code is going to be. Also on Black Friday, we're doing $1,500 t-shirts. They're usually $3,000, so it's 50% off on the white shirts. And then on Black Friday, we're dropping our brand new black and gold Let's Get This Money shirts, so you can get them when they drop on Black Friday. Like I mentioned as well, next week, Wednesday, Money Mission Masterclass will launch. And on December 15, mark that date in your calendars, we are doing Patria-Kaye's giveaways, an entire show where we'll just be giving stuff away to you. This is our way of saying thank you to all our loyal viewers over the past 3 years. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate your continued support. We appreciate all the comments that you leave. I want you to have nice stuff for Christmas. So we're going to be giving away a lot of stuff from local Jamaican suppliers and producers, manufacturers, companies, even services. You can win money. I'm going to be giving away some money. I'm going to be giving away my masterclass. I'm going to be giving away some merch. So my t-shirts, my masks, you can get those for free on December 15 at Patria-Kaye giveaway. And guess what I also have? I have 2 VIP tickets to the Burna Boy concert on December 18, and I'm going to give them away in Patria-Kaye's giveaway on Thursday, the 15th. So you don't want to miss that. Once again, make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter so you don't miss the announcements. I post a lot on social media. You could miss a post or two. You could miss the very important post with the announcements. But if you're subscribed to the newsletter, it's coming straight to your inbox. So make sure that you are on that newsletter. And if you want to participate in the show, if you're a small business or any size business and you want to be a part of Patria-Kaye's giveaways, then you can just email us. Just email business, let me put it on the screen, business@KalilaRayMedia.com, and say that you want to be a part of Patria-Kaye's giveaways, and they're going to work that out for you. Reminding you once again, here is the address for the newsletter, KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter. And if you want to be a part of Patria-Kaye's giveaway, then email business@KalilaRayMedia.com so that we can showcase your item and give it away to one lucky viewer. That's our show for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have great things in store for the holiday season. I am absolutely looking forward to it and looking forward to being here with you. And if what I'm hearing is true, what David just mentioned, 4 IPOs before the end of the year, that means our team is going to be quite busy in these last few weeks of the year. Make sure you like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, let everybody know. And reminding you that email subscribers get a copy of my free broker guide. Turn on the post notifications everywhere so you can see everything when it drops. We want to help people learn more about money so we can all get this money together. Follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalila Ray, and follow at KRM_business news on Instagram. Remember, those are my only accounts. I don't have any backup accounts. There's one in particular that's going around this week, and I keep getting the screenshots from Kalila Ray _ that is not me. And they have like 6,000 and change followers too. Most of them probably bought followers. It's not me. It's not me. Hitting the DMs asking you to trade crypto. I don't do that. I do not do that. So just when you see those come up, just report them and block them. If you want to connect with the analysts this week, check the description box below for their contact information. And of course, visit our website, KalilaReynolds.com, for financial information you can use however you like it. You can watch, you can listen to the podcast, or you can read an article. Now tell a friend about taking stock, because investing is the new sexy. Let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Thanks for watching.
Let's get this money.